The first part of Season 5 of Stranger Things left us impressed, and we all want to know what will happen in Volume 2. Will Max manage to escape Henry's mind? And what is Vecna's grand plan? These are questions we are going to answer. Today on Charlietales, I will tell you everything we will see in Volume 2 of Stranger Things Season 5. Ready? Let's begin. First of all, I must inform you that Volume 2 will only have 3 episodes. The titles of each one have already been revealed. Episode 5 will be called Shock Jock. This is an American term used for controversial radio hosts. This clearly connects with Robin, who works at the radio, but it's not something extremely interesting either. Let's move on to the next title. Episode 6 will be titled The Escape from Camazotz. This title is relevant because it connects to Max's story. Remember that she is trapped in Henry's mind. Camazotz is this mountainous structure where Max hides. Holly Wheeler gave it this name. Together they will try to escape in episode 6. However, it won't be easy. Henry will do whatever it takes to eliminate Max before she manages to get out. In several trailers, we've been shown scenes where the Demodogs attack the hospital where Max's body is. This is not a coincidence. Most likely, Vecna will send the Demodogs to eliminate Max. If her body dies, her consciousness will also disappear from Henry's mind. This has a very simple motivation. For Vecna, Max's presence in his brain is quite dangerous. Remember that she discovered a weakness of his. These mountains hide a great trauma from Henry's past. He genuinely fears this memory. That's why Max should not be here. Henry wants to eliminate her before she discovers his secret. That's why he needs to destroy her physical body, so her consciousness disappears forever. Let's talk about Henry's trauma. What is his mind hiding? There are several very logical theories. All are based on the play Stranger Things, The First Shadow. This was a prequel that premiered in London, and in it they told us about Henry's past. In this play there are 2 traumatic events for him. The first occurred in his childhood. According to the story, young Henry was a normal child, but one day he found strange technology in a cave, and this transported him to an unknown world. He arrived in Dimension X, where the Mind Flayer lives. They don't clearly tell us what happened there, but after that, Henry returned with darkness inside him. Here is the first possibility. Perhaps this mountain hides the secret of what happened to Henry in Dimension X. This option is the most coherent. I have another theory that comes from the same play. In it, we are told that Henry studied at the same high school as Hopper, Joyce, and other adult characters from the series. But the most important thing is that here he fell in love with Patty Newby, Bob Newby's sister. However, under the influence of the Mind Flayer, Henry was about to take her life. This was a terrible event for him. There is a possibility that the series will change this event and tell us that Henry actually did eliminate Patty. This would be a traumatic event that would cause him great pain. This is also a theory that could fit. But what do you think? Which option do you choose? Now let's talk about episode 7. It will be titled The Bridge. This is quite revealing because it clearly tells us what Vecna's plan is. Thanks to several clues, we know that he intends to create a portal to an unknown place. In episode 3, we were shown Mr. Clark talking about wormholes and how they serve to travel between dimensions, or even between eras. This drawing curiously looks a lot like the one Will made in the cabin. With this context, it is quite clear that Vecna wants to open a wormhole to somewhere. The question is, for what purpose? Here we enter theory territory. The most believable option is that Vecna wants to create a portal to allow the Mind Flayer to enter. We met this creature in the Upside Down and in Dimension X. We all know it has a spider-like shape and is made of some kind of smoke. But many believe that the Mind Flayer actually has a very different physical form, made of flesh and bone. This body has never been seen, and lives in a dimension far from everything we know. So the Mind Flayer may be manipulating Henry in order to reach our world. With this context, many possibilities open up. First of all, many think that perhaps Henry was never evil, but has always been manipulated by the Mind Flayer. This is a logical thought. The idea was introduced in the prequel Stranger Things, The First Shadow. There we were told about Henry's past, and in that story they are very clear in showing us that the Mind Flayer is the one manipulating Henry. This play is considered canon. With this context, it would be logical to think that Henry is another victim of the demon, and many even dare to think he will have a redemption in the future. This is quite bold, but it doesn't seem illogical to me. The series has already handled the redemption of other characters. For example, Billy, Max's brother. He started out somewhat evil, but gave us a legendary redemption at the end of Season 3. This could be repeated with Henry, but what do you think? Let's talk about Kylie. We were all impressed by her return in the season finale, but they haven't revealed anything else about her, neither in the trailers nor in any promotional posters. So here I will tell you my theory about what will happen with her. The most logical thing is that she will join 11 and we will see them work together to stop Vecna. But I think we will see more. Few people know that Stranger Things released some comics telling us what happened to Kaylee, and in them she meets other kids who also escaped from Dr. Brenner. For example, number 9, who has fire powers, and number 3, who can manipulate people. I think these characters will return for the end of the series. Kaylee's powers alone wouldn't be very useful against Vecna, but if other kids with powers came, that would give them an advantage. Let's talk about Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve's storyline. They didn't do much in Volume 1, but they will be crucial for Part 2. They will discover Vecna's plan and try to stop it from the Upside Down. However, their story will reach a critical point at the radio tower. Yes, I'm talking about the same one Jonathan and Steve climbed in Episode 1. The trailers reveal to us that there will be a crucial moment in which the radio tower will be invaded by the Mind Flayer's particles. So it is most logical that both Steve and Jonathan will climb this radio tower again. And my friends, for me it is quite possible that one of them will die in this scene. From my perspective, the most likely one is Steve. In terms of writing, his character has fulfilled all the requirements to say goodbye. He began the story as an egocentric and immature boy. But over the years, he has become a hero for the kids. His death would be brutal and fitting for a series finale. One of you commented to me a very good theory that I want to include here. As everyone knows, Jonathan wants to propose to Nancy. He even has the ring hidden with him. So the theory suggests that Steve will discover Jonathan's ring. With this in mind, Steve would sacrifice himself so that Nancy could be happy with Jonathan. If this happened, I would start crying right there, my friends. But being serious, it has long been rumored that someone important will die in the series finale. It would be impossible for one of the original kids to be the chosen one. They are still quite young. It would be too dark to eliminate Lucas or Dustin. With them ruled out, the most likely are Steve, or an adult like Hopper. We will have to wait to find out. That's all for today. If you liked the video, you'd really help me out by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also, remember to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.